Hi, Jessica here, Yoga for Everybody, representing Zen Active Sports. I'm back on the shores of Lake Superior this week to demonstrate and teach you guys another one of my favorite yoga poses, the plank pose. I'll also be covering the side plank pose for those of us who are ready for more of a challenge. Let's go ahead and start from a kneeling position, and I'll show you guys how to transition into and out of this challenging pose. From a kneeling position, we will go ahead and transition to hands and knees and really start to pay attention to our alignment. So stacking the joints, engaging the core muscles. Shoulders are down, away from the ears. Nice deep belly breathing pattern. Now we can transition to modified plank pose by shifting the hips forward, keeping the feet hip width apart, of course. Little bend in the elbows still. Now we can try curling the toes under and lifting the knees up off the mat on the exhale of the breath if we're ready for the full plank pose. Keeping those feet hip width apart. Hands shoulder width apart. And then we can transition to side plank if we're really ready for a challenge by stacking the feet and then slowly turning out to the side, bringing that top arm straight up to the sky. And when we're ready to come out of the pose, we'll do so on the exhale of the breath, nice and slowly, the same way that we came out of it. And then we can rest in the child's pose to give our wrists a little break before we try it on the other side. You'll find it's very fatiguing for those sensitive wrist joints. So feel free to rest here as long as you feel necessary. Remembering, of course, to always follow the breath with your awareness. Then we can transition to the pose on the other side. Maybe we want to try a modified version this time, so keeping one knee on the mat and then extending the opposite leg straight out, the toes facing forward. Slowly opening up to the side, reaching the top arm straight up to the sky. Or we could keep that top arm just rested on the hip, if that feels better. As long as we can keep the chest open to the sky, of course. It's a very fatiguing pose, so you may only be able to hold it for a breath or two. Challenging yourself, of course, but always listening to the body and coming out of the pose when you feel unsteady. We certainly would not want to stumble out of the pose. That would not be good. And we can come back slowly to a comfortable seated position after a nice break in child's. Thanks for practicing the plank pose with me here on Zen Active Sports. I hope you were able to find a version of the pose that felt wonderful for you today. Be sure to stay tuned for more tips and videos every week at www.zenactivesports.com. Thanks again for practicing with me. Namaste.